Hi, this is Kevin. Welcome to my tutorial on installing PyCharm Professional on macOS. And this is the fourth in a series of these tutorial videos. The first one was installing Anaconda. The second one was updating Anaconda. Um, the third one was creating an Anaconda virtual environment. And if you haven't already played and followed along with those, you need to go back and do that because that's where we're going to begin. All right. So we're going to be installing PyCharm Professional, and in the current semester, um, we're recording this for the spring of 2024. And for each of my courses, I put together an instruction sheet on tool versions, installation, and virtual environments. Each of my Python related courses. And this is the one for IS 430, which is the Introduction to Programming using Python 3 course. But whatever course you're taking, you'll see that there's a sheet like this for you that you'll find in your weekly schedule. Okay, and um, in it, there's going to be a section called Installing a PyCharm Professional. And pretty much these all look the same regardless of the course, but they've got a couple of interesting things for you to see. One is that I do want you to follow the exact process we have here for installing the PyCharm Professional product. I don't want you to install other PyCharm products. So I do want you to follow the directions. And the other thing is that if you're doing this install for the spring of 2024, well, then your experience in doing the install is going to pretty much follow along with the video that you're seeing here. But over time, your experience is going to diverge from the video because um, there's going to be new versions of PyCharm. There'll maybe be updates to the operating system, things that'll make your experience slightly different. And my advice is, unless I've warned you off, always install the newest version of everything, okay? And do your best to adapt to any change in the user interface. You know, if they change the dialogues for these things all the time. And I can't change the videos that often, but if it gets to the point where I don't think that you folks are going to be able to follow, then that's when I make the new video. Um, Now, how do you know if maybe you don't want to install the newest version? Well, I'll have warned you right here. Okay, so here for this course in the current semester, spring 2024, I'm saying no problems expected. Install the latest available version. If we were expecting a problem with the latest available version, I'd have a warning here and I'd tell you what version to install and how to go find it. Okay, so latest available version if you're in spring 2024. If you're not in spring 2024, find this document. Okay. All right. So now we got to find our way to all of all the stuff related to the install. And let me bring back that document because it's got a pretty good list of what we have to do. In order to install PyCharm Professional, we need to get a JetBrains education license that's available to students and faculties at in higher education. Okay. So you're entitled to that. You can get it and keep it as long as you have an email address at the university that ends in .edu. Okay. Um, so I'm going to show you where to go to do that. Then I'm going to talk about once you get that done, you're going to set up a JetBrains account. JetBrains is the vendor for PyCharm Professional. Okay, and then from that, we're going to install things a particular way using a product called JetBrains Toolbox. Okay, and then once we have that installed, there'll be a whole bunch of products that we can install, and you're free to install all of them if you like. But the one I need to install that we're going to use is uh, a PyCharm Professional. Now, there once was a time that there were three versions of PyCharm: Professional, Community, Community, and then there's the thing called Edu for uh, the education market. Uh, the Edu version is, I think, now completely gone away. In any case, we're not interested in it. The community version, we're not interested in because it doesn't do all the things that we want to do. So we are going to install PyCharm Professional. If you have another old version of, say, the community version or whatever, um, you can certainly leave it installed on your machine, but follow the directions here and install PyCharm Professional the way I tell you to do it. Um, I've had people who don't really follow the directions here, and they're okay in the beginning of the semester, but come the end of the semester, we're doing a lot of things that can't be done on the version of PyCharm that they have, and then they have to go back and redo the installation when nobody else is doing it, and it's not too late, but it's an inopportune time to do it. Okay, and then we're also going to create and configure our first Python project using PyCharm. Okay, so follow along just as we do right here. Okay. Okay, so how do you get a student license from JetBrains? Well, if you go to your weekly schedule, you're going to find a link for that. Okay, but let me just do a search. So we're going to say JetBrains education license. Um, yeah, for students and faculty members. So that's where we want to go. So again, you can get this now because you have an email address at the university and you can keep it as long as you do have one. You can keep renewing it. And the way that they know that to do it is that you have a .edu uh, email address. So how do you apply? Who can apply? Where's the link on this? Oh, apply. So that takes you to the second page and you fill out whether you're uh, a student, which you are, or I'm a teacher, and you give all of the information that you have here, and you answer the right things on all these things, and you click apply for free products. And then you wait for an email confirmation to come. Okay. And it's usually pretty fast. It might be immediate. It's certainly within a day. Okay. My recollection is that more recently it's pretty much instantaneous. Okay. Because I think what they're doing is they're just looking at your email address. Okay. Um, in that email, there's a link to how to set up a JetBrains account. Okay. But how do you set up a JetBrains account? Well, you go to jetbrains.com, jetbrains.com, and then you click on this little person icon, and it's going to want you to log in or create a JetBrains account. So this is where you go to create a JetBrains account, and then once you're there, you need to register your license that you got from the email. Okay. Now, I'm not going to do that because I already have a JetBrains account, but no students have ever had any significant problem with this, so I don't think that you will either. Okay. If it turns out that you already have a JetBrains account and maybe you already had one of these licenses before, but maybe it's expired, if you log into the account, there'll be a link to request it be refreshed, renewed, whatever. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to log in for me, trainer1@illinois.edu. And I've got to go find my password in my password manager. Thanks for your patience while I do that. And I'm just going to put my password in and sign in. And we're not going to save that. So you can see a couple of things here. So I have a student pack and perpetual. Oh, I've got two. I have a license for the JetBrains product pack, and I have a license for something I got for RubyMine a billion years ago, 2014. So when you register your license and all that kind of stuff, you'll have just one. And you can see here, here's where your license ID is. Now we're going to be coming back and using that later, okay, as part of the install. Okay, so the impatient will just sort of look and say, okay, what do I want? I want PyCharm. Do not do that, okay? Okay, because we want to use this thing called JetBrains a toolbox. It makes it a lot easier to keep your product up to date. It allows you to install PyCharm Professional and any other product of theirs that you want. So this is the way to do it. So how to do it? Right under this JetBrains product pack for students, we have a download link. So click the download link. And then we have a list of products. Don't go for the product that you're looking for. Go down to the bottom and click on the link for Toolbox app. Get the Toolbox app. Click on that. Okay. And the Toolbox app looks like this when it's installed. Now, so we're here on the Mac. We're going to download a DMG. So I'm going to click download. Okay, and allow. And you can see that I've got the download going on. Okay, and I'm just going to shrink Safari there. And I'm going to open up Finder and go to Downloads. And you can see we have the installer for JetBrains Toolbox, and I'm just going to highlight that and double click. Okay. And some of these installers work different from others. This is one where you left click on the cube on the left and you drag it over the applications folder and you drop it. So click, drag, drop. And sometimes it takes a while to see it, but you usually get a little bit of a tone, which I've heard. And then you eventually see that files are being copied. Often you'll get a pop-up that says that they're copying files from some folder to some other folder. Okay, I'm not seeing that pop-up that says the files are being copied, but what I can do is go to the applications folder and click on that and see if we've got JetBrains Toolbox here, and you can see that we do. Okay, so with that installed, I'm going to close the installer dialog. Okay, and I'm just going to highlight JetBrains Toolbox in the Finder, and I'm going to double click on that. And that should start it up. Click OK to open, and open it. And you'll see a couple of things, okay? One thing that I see, well, it's welcome to Toolbox, continue, license agreement, accept the license agreement. What theme do I want? I always like the dark theme, so I go with the dark theme. You're going to get whatever you like. Click on Get Started, okay? And now we see the JetBrains Toolbox, okay? I have a couple of notifications that I have to close, okay? And the other thing I get is up here in the toolbar in the top of macOS, you see there's a little cube, and that's the icon for JetBrains Toolbox. And there are some applications that preload themselves every time you start up your machine, and you can usually find them up here in this part of the toolbar. And so when you can't see JetBrains Toolbox and you want to see it, you can do it by clicking there. So the way you close the toolbox is just to click off of it and it disappears. Okay, but then if you go up and click on that little cube again, it appears. And this window is very perishable. Again, you click off of it all and it goes away. Okay, I find that annoying, but that's the way they decided to design it. All right, there it is. Sometimes when you install this, you might see a little icon up here in this, I guess this is a nut, like nut as in nut and bolt. It's a hexagon no matter what. If this can be updated, there's a notice that says update, so you can click on this and say you want to update the toolbox. You might as well have the latest one, okay? And you have here a list of applications that are available, and you can scroll down through them, okay? Right now, there isn't anything installed, okay? Now, what we want to do is we want to find PyCharm Professional, which is right here, and click Install. But before we do that, I just want to point out that there is another version of PyCharm, the one that we don't want, PyCharm Community. That's the free one, and that's nice, but that doesn't have all the features that we use in our course. Okay, so let's go back up to find PyCharm Professional. All right, which is pretty high up. Okay, and we want to click Install. Now, PyCharm gets updated 3 or 4 times a year. Okay, and I'll show you in a minute how to find out if there's an update available for PyCharm. Okay, so now we're downloading PyCharm Professional, and it's going to install it. And uh, what do I like about the toolbox? I like the fact that you can easily install and uninstall any of the JetBrains products. And we, as part of our uh, student and teacher licenses, have access to not every one of their products, but most of them. And they're kind of fun to try out. Okay. You can install them, you can use them, you can uninstall them. And it's a good place to update them too. So, for instance, you'll see here at the very top we have a list of what's installed. Now, if there was an update available, there'd be a button over here to the right that said update. Okay, and we could click on update and we'd watch the same kind of process we went through with the install. If we have 2 or 3 things and more than one can be updated, there's a link up here to the right somewhere that says update all, and it just does them all. So this is a really nice way to control what's installed and keep it updated. Okay, so this is the most recent version of PyCharm Professional. And okay, how do we start it? The easiest way to start it the first time is from the toolbox, right? So let's say we didn't have the toolbox open. Okay. We would go up to this toolbar and find that little toolbox icon and click on it. It would open. And then we would just click on the name, PyCharm Professional, and it's going to start up. And that goes a little bit slower the first time than it will later. And it asks, do we want to import any settings? And I'm going to take the no option. Okay. Now, there'll be a bunch of things that happen now, but before we forget, let's get an icon in the dock. So as soon as you have this icon here that shows that it's running, because it's on the right side of this little divider bar, well, right click on that and pick options and keep in dock. Okay. And so now that's always going to be up. Did that work? Options. Yeah, keep in dock is already that. I was expecting it to move over. Well, I think if you want to move it over, you have to drag it and put it where you want it. Okay. All right, so now that's open. That's where that was. So data sharing, depending upon how suspicious or trusting you are, pick your option and click it. Okay. And now you can start a 30-day trial, but you don't want to do that because we have a license code. So you click on Activate PyCharm, and it says either you have an activation code or you can lock into your JetBrains account. So let's do that. Click on that. Okay, and again, your username is usually your email. Okay, so I've got that, and then in my password manager over here, I still have that up. So copy that. I'm going to paste my password right there and sign in. And I usually don't save them here, but authorization successful. You can close this page and return to your IDE. So it took us out to the browser, and I'm just going to close the browser. Okay, and this is activated, although I find it a little bit hard to know that it's been activated, but it has, so we can exit. Okay, now it's going to, it said welcome to PyCharm, but PyCharm's really not up. So I'm going to close out of the applications folder. And now I've got my icon down on the dock for PyCharm Professional. So I'm going to click on that to fire it up. And so right now we're in late December 2023, and the reason I'm re-recording the tutorial videos is that there have been a lot of changes in PyCharm. So you really do want to make sure that you've done the install of the latest version of PyCharm. Of course, if you're doing this in a future semester, it's going to be an even later version of PyCharm. It'll probably have a couple of newer features as well. So we've got PyCharm starting up. All right. So what do we want to do? Well, we just want to create our first Python project. Okay. And how can we do that? Well, it's a new project, so we'll click on the new project button. Okay. Now over on the left hand side, we're going to pick what kind of project it is. And again, for this tutorial, we're just going to do a Python project. So pure Python, that was the default. Okay. So this is a little bit newer. This dialog is brand new. The layout of this panel to the right. Okay. It's been improved substantially. So look first at location. Okay, it's going to point to the directory where this project is going to be created. And what's the PyCharm project? Well, it's a bunch of files that are in a directory. Okay, so the PyCharm project directory is going to be created as a subdirectory of whatever we're pointing to here. Now, the install has created under our user ID, it has created a folder called PyCharm projects. That's fine. You can use that, or maybe you want to have a directory for just this course, right? Well, you could click on the folder, and you could go out into this. This is the Finder interface, and you could create a new folder with a different name. Okay, PyCharm projects is fine. Okay, but you might want one that's specifically for this individual course. So get your folders squared away. And the thing that they have now, they didn't used to have this. You used to have a slash and then the name of your project out here. Now there's a field for the name of the project. Okay. And again, typically we name these using Python snake case, which is all lowercase with words separated by underscores. Okay. And say, let's call this my underscore first test project. Okay. In snake case, the location is right. We're in the current semester, we're not working with Git repositories in the IS 430 course, which is one I showed you the directions for. But in some of my other courses, we are working with Git repositories. So choose this if you want. Okay, but if you don't know what this is, and you probably don't want it, okay? This create a main.py welcome script, I never want this. I find these to be a nuisance. I'm not going to recommend them. And then the next thing is we have to tell it where to find Python. And the way we work is we've created a virtual environment with Anaconda. It's already created. We just need to point to it. So of the three options here, project VM, base Conda, custom environment, we want the third, custom environment. Okay. And from the next line, do we want to generate a new or select existing? We want the second, select existing. Okay. And then from the type, do we want Python? No, we want Conda. Okay. Now, here's something interesting that happens. Okay. It shows you where Conda is. Okay. And then it has you choose your environment from a drop down. Now we should already have ours. Uh, if you take the drop down and you can't find yours, I can see mine there, you can click reload environments, okay, and it goes and it loads them all up. And we're going to take the drop down, and here the one that we created a couple of tutorials ago is E4 Trainer Python course. Okay, that's it. Those are all the options that we have, and we can go to the lower right and click create. Now, before we work with this project, I just remembered that I wanted to go through one important feature that's, well, actually two important features that are new to PyCharm Professional just in the last 3 weeks, okay? And that is, how are we, whenever you're in PyCharm and you want to work with the PyCharm settings, in the Mac you can go up to the menu and click on PyCharm settings. And there's a whole bunch of things in here we're going to learn how to set, okay? But one important thing, two new features that are available are created with these things called plugins. Okay, so click on plugins, okay, and then it's going to populate the panel off to the right. And then up in the top of that right panel, we're currently on the Marketplace tab. We want to go to the Installed tab, okay. And right now, we've got two interesting plugins. Okay. Well, there's a whole bunch of them. They all have to do with new AI related features that were added to Python in December 2023. One is called AI Assistant, and that's going to be fun, and we may use it in some of my courses. We're not going to use it in IS 430, which is an introduction to Python. And I think we're not going to use it in the spring of 2024. We're not going to be using it in any course. I'll talk about why in a minute. So since we're not going to use it, even though it's installed, okay, it's enabled, okay, you need a, how can I say this? You need a subscription to make it work, okay? And right now that costs $100 a year. And it's not free to students or to teachers, okay? Which is fine. It's not really something that we're going to be using while we're learning. It's something you might want to use later after you've learned. Okay. So if you're going to use it, you'd probably want to update it. But for me, I'm just going to disable it. Okay. Now this one is a really cool feature, full line code completion. I'll show you this. This is AI based. Okay. This is brand new, and it's something that we are going to be using, provided that you want to. If you want to turn it off, you can turn it off. You can come back and turn it off at a later time. Okay, so AI assistant disabled because we're not going to use it and we couldn't afford it if we did. And full line code completion on. Okay, and then we're just going to, well, we can probably click apply, which I don't think really does anything, and then we click on OK. And it says we need to restart the product. So yes, restart, confirm exit, OK. And there we go. Now you can see it's warming up again. It's going to start. Okay, and it took us right back to the project that we were in before, which is good. Now, when you first install PyCharm, it always wants to bring up this tip of the day. I've learned a lot from tip of the day, but I've lost my patience with a tip of the day. So what I usually do is I click the checkbox for don't show tips on startup, and then I click next. I'm sorry, then I click close. You can decide whatever works for you. All right. So there we are. Um, so PyCharm is an IDE, an integrated development environment. It's a combination of a lot of Python tools like the Python interpreter, which runs Python, and a context-aware text editor, actually a family of them for different kinds of file types, and a lot of other tools, right? Um, so before we get started, okay, let's look at something here. Look in the lower right, and in the lower right, you should see the name of your virtual env. Okay, that's E for Trainer Python course. That's a correct one. What if you flub that up and you're in here and you didn't pick that the right way? Okay, well, do you see all the action to the left of this? Uh, Reading installed content packages. There's a lot of action over here to the left. Uh, there are times when there's action that's going on in Conda having to do with loading packages from the virtual env, and it's copying skeletons and all that kind of stuff. If you go to do something in PyCharm and it's just not ready, like you can't see the menu option that you're looking for is not lit up or something like that, look down in this area here. And if there's action going on down here, you may have to wait for whatever loading or copying that has to be done to clear through in this area to become blank. Now, back when I was using a slower computer, that went on for longer than it goes on now. So what if this didn't say E for Trainer Python course? What if this said the wrong thing? Well, I'm going to show you one way to fix that. One way is to come down here and click in this area, okay? And you could pick another option, okay? You could go to interpreter settings. You could even go to add new interpreter. These are all dialogues that would allow you to do it. Okay, so you could get into the choose the right virtual env by picking certainly add new interpreter and maybe interpreter settings. Okay, but let's go add new interpreter. Um, oh, I see. It's going to ask you to add one. So maybe not that, but maybe if we did interpreter settings, what's that like? Yeah, so it's going to take us to the dialog where we pick the interpreter. So I would say if you want to do it down on the right side, you're in the wrong one. Click on here and then go to interpreter settings. What if you can't figure out the bottom right? Well, you can go up to the menu, click on PyCharm and settings, and then we get that big settings panel. Okay. And turns out that we're going to be getting pretty familiar with all this. But if we open up the one about right in the middle, project, the first thing underneath is Python interpreter. Okay. And where does our Python interpreter come from? Well, it comes from our virtual env. It's a package in our virtual env. Okay, and you can see ours is currently currently properly set. Okay, and if it was the wrong one, well then we could do the drop down. Okay, and here the one that we want is an option, so that's fine. But what if ours wasn't on the list? Okay, well then we could go to add interpreter. Okay, and add local interpreter. And now we get back into kind of the dialogue that we had before. In the left panel, we want a conda environment. Okay, and do we want an existing one? Yes, we do. And it says use existing environment. So here's the drop down. Okay, what if you didn't see and you knew you already had one? Well, then click on load environments. Okay, and then you should be able to find the one you want. Now, what if you never created it? Well, then you have to go back and do the tutorial on how to create an Anaconda virtual environment. And then you'll give it the right name, and then you'll come back here and it'll be in the list. Okay? So that's what we're going to do. And also, you can see what's in this, right? So what's interesting is E for Trainer Python course includes um, the Jupyter packages and matplotlib, right? And NumPy, right? And pandas, and Python's going to come up soon. Python 3.11.5, and those are all things that we put into the virtual env when we created it in the other tutorial. Okay, so we're properly set up. We have our project, this directory, this entry up here is your project. Okay, there are times when you come into PyCharm where you don't see this left panel, it's hidden. Okay, so there are a whole bunch of icons on the very left edge, and this folder toggles that navigation panel on or off. So if you can't find your navigation panel, click there and it opens up. Okay, and the files that are part of your project, this project name, this is the top level directory in your project, my first test project. And then there are no files under it because we haven't created anything else. And external libraries, we don't really do much with that in my courses. Okay, so we're going to create our first program. So let's right click and I'm sorry, let's highlight the name of the project and right click on it and say we want a new Python file. Okay, and we're going to call this one goodbye underscore cruel world. And again, snake case, all lowercase words, it's separated by underscores. Okay. Do we need to put .py on the end? No, we don't. It does it for us because we said create a Python file. So just the name, goodbye cruel world. Then we're going to press enter. And it's going to create the file, and it's going to open an editor over here on the right hand side. Okay, and now we're just going to create our first little demonstration program. So this is a text editor. It's a syntax-aware text editor, so it's going to color things for us. If we make syntax errors in the code that we type, it's going to highlight them. If we make style errors, it's going to highlight those too. So it's a very helpful thing. And it also has this full line automated code completion, which is pretty good stuff. Okay, so the first thing we usually put into a .py file, a Python program, is a special kind of a comment called a doc string. And doc strings are just documentation strings. So it starts out with 3 quotations, and when I say quotations, it's the full one with the 2 little ticks. So quote, quote, quote. Now this is a context-aware editor, so for every quote that we type in, it puts a matching one. So we typed the 3 on the left, and it created the 3 on the right. And we usually have a just a short sentence here that or phrase that describes the intention of the program. Program to demonstrate printing a single line. Okay, so is that a sentence? No, that's a phrase. Okay, and then we're going to skip 2 blank lines. So we got 2 blank lines. And then we're going to do this. We're going to create a function called main. So how do we do that? We create a function by typing def, D-E-F, for define, space, main, M-A-I-N. And after every name of a function, when we create a function header like this, we type in a left paren. Okay, this smart editor goes, well, if we have a left paren, we need a right, so it gives us the right. Okay, now for a lot of people who are beginners, this is troublesome because they're not used to the help. Okay, and so then they type a left and a right, and they go back and they've got 2 rights. Okay, I'm going to tell you that if you're new to this, that you'll get used to it and you'll eventually consider it helpful. So then we're going to right arrow over and put a colon in the end. Okay, and we're going to put 1 line of code here. Okay, and this full line auto-completion thinks, well, maybe we want to put another doc string. And it thinks that we want to say that we want to demonstrate printing a single line. And that's pretty smart. And that really will show you that this is a large language model chatbot product that is predicting what we're going to type next. Okay, and it's kind of cheating, but I just want to point out that it's wrong as often as right. When it's trying to guess what you want to do next, it's not really terrifically good at that. When you start typing and it's trying to guess at how to complete what you're already typing, it's pretty darn good. Okay, so here, that's not what we want to do. For right now, we're going to type in just pass, P-A-S-S. That means do nothing. Okay, and why are we doing that? Where we're going to come back and put some real code there. And then we want two more blank lines. Okay, and then it's going to suggest that we want to type uh, if dunder name equal dunder main, and we might want to, but the easiest thing is just to type main, M-A-I-N, and two parens. That's a call to the main function. Okay. All right. All right, so this is a very simple program that doesn't do what it said it's going to do. It doesn't print a single line. So let's go back and get it to print a single line. Okay, so we back over pass, and we're going to say print left paren, and it thinks we're going to print hello world. Why? Well, this is what people do. Okay, in their first program. Well, no, we're going to print goodbye cruel world. Now, in Python, people sometimes will use double quotes. I call them. These are the quotes with the two tick marks. I use apostrophes. You're going to be free to use whatever you want. So uh, double quotes hello world, well, that's a pretty good guess. It's just not what we want. Okay, I'm going to put apostrophe and then goodbye, comma, cruel world. Okay, all right, so that's it. And now we're ready to run it. So how do you run a program? Well, there are a lot of ways to tell it to run. There's play buttons that you can click and all that kind of stuff. There's menu entries, but the easiest thing to do is just to click in the middle of the text editor panel, right click, and then pick Run Goodbye Cruel World. And what does it do? Well, it pops up this little panel at the bottom, okay? And you see Goodbye Cruel World. Okay, that looks good. Now, so this was the print output from that. And what is this panel? This is a simulation of the command line. Okay, so if we ran this on the command line, okay, and to run that, we'd have to type out Python space goodbye crew world.py, enter. Well, then this would have come out on the next line. So it's kind of simulating how this would have looked had we run it on the command line. Okay, so looks like everything's installed just fine. It looks like this full line auto completion is working. You can see that full line auto completion is very eager, okay, and it has a lot of ideas, some of which are good and some of which are bad. You're free to turn it off, okay, but the more code we're going to be doing, the longer the programs get, it gets pretty good at figuring out repetitive code. And so we begin to type a line and it figures out what we want to type. And since we make a lot of typing mistakes, we do get to the point where it's guessing about what we're about to type is at least a little better than our typing. Okay, so I like it. You're going to decide whether you like it or not. Okay, now why aren't we using the full, kind of AI feature? because these are very popular now. It just came into PyCharm. Well, we're certainly not going to use it in our IS 430 course, which is an intro to Python, because when you're learning Python, right, what kind of a helper do you need? Well, you need an expert helper, okay? Um, and when we're doing like auto-completion of a line to get the syntax right or to type a little bit better than we would, it pretty much is an expert, okay? A little overeager. But the full AI product will guess at whole sections of code. And if you were already a capable Python programmer, well, that might be helpful. You could look at that and think of it like an assistant, right? And you could say, oh, great, thanks for giving me that code, assistant, except that I didn't want this, I didn't want that, I didn't want this, I didn't want that. Okay. The problem with these AI assistants for learners is that they're very glib. Okay. And this is the problem with these large language models more generally in, say, chatbots. Uh, they're very glib, they're very articulate, and they say things that appear to be plausible. And in order to assess whether they're saying something that's going to be useful for you or not, you already need to know the answer. Okay? So, uh, that's why we're not going to be using the full AI. Okay? And uh, you're free to go try any of these AI assistants. You're not free to hand in the AI assistant's code, but certainly you can look at it and take inspiration from it. But you need to craft the code yourself, and you need to type it in yourself because this is how we learn. And so we're not going to go full AI assistant, but full line auto completion is fair game. Okay. And again, you're going to decide, is it helping you or is it driving you crazy? For me, it does little of both. Okay. All right. So this is installed. This is working fine. We've written our first program. This is good. If we want to get out of PyCharm, we can just close it like any other app. Okay. And and then it gives us the opportunity to create a new project and open another one, or we just close it again and we're done. And just to look at where that work is, right? Oh, this is something that I think you're going to find helpful. Uh, our PyCharm projects directory is within our own ID. Okay. Well, when you're in the Finder, you don't have a shortcut to your own ID. Okay. So open the Finder, go up to the menu and click on Go. Okay. And then down almost at the bottom, go to Folder. Okay. And then just type in a plain old slash. Okay. And enter. Okay. And now we're at the top of the directory system. So now let's double click on users to open that and then find your username. Okay. And then just drag it over here. See how you can bring it over here and put it just where you want. I usually put mine down right under downloads and let go. Okay. And so now it's still over here. You didn't lose it here. But now, if we close the Finder, now whenever you want to open the Finder, okay, if you want to go to your home directory, it's right there. And again, I always like to view, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong part of this. We're in a virtual machine. I always like to view where it's a list. Okay, and PyCharm projects is right here. So I'm going to open that, and you can see that my first test project is just a directory within the PyCharm projects directory, its own directory or folder, and then underneath it, um, here's goodbye cruelworld.py. Okay, and if we wanted to right click on this and open it with text editor, you'd say it's a plain old text file in a plain old directory. Now there is another part of the directory here. Um, there's a hidden directory in every PyCharm project that keeps a lot of the settings. And um, if you want to see hidden files, um, if I remember right, it's Shift Command period. Yep. So hit all three of those at the same time. And here we can see there's a .idea directory. This has all the settings for this PyCharm project. Okay, but if you don't want to see hidden files anymore, you can toggle it off. Shift Command period. Okay, but apart from that, it's just a directory. All right. Okay, so that's it for creating our first PyCharm project, and that's how we're going to be using the new AI features again. Full line auto completion, yes. Uh, AI assistant, no. All right. All right. I'm going to say bye until next time. Bye bye.